Hey guys, I'm Lori, your USMES sports-focused dietitian, and I'm going to be chatting with you about the practice of logging your food intake and keeping a food diary. So this is a very important practice. I definitely suggest that everybody be logging their intake at least from time to time. It's not something you have to do 24/7, but definitely pick a few days here and there to be able to check in. This allows you to see where your current habits are and also identify those really important opportunities for improvements. So I'm going to show you MyFitnessPal because that's a very popular, very user-friendly application for tracking your food intake. So I'll take you through that program and show you some good tips and some guidance on what to look for, what to make sure you're doing. And for those of us who are more focused on results, you're really looking to see weight loss or sports performance, not to bonk, etc. I'm going to give you some proactive advice on how to make that happen and how to use MyFitnessPal to reach those goals. All right, so I have MyFitnessPal pulled up, and this is just what the food tab looks like. So if you go up to the top and hit food, you're going to see that you have the opportunity to input foods for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and water. So before we get started, I do recommend that you make a few changes to make things more specific to you and your needs. So this is definitely the stock setup on MyFitnessPal. But if you go up to the top and hit settings, you can fine tune it a little bit more, make it more personalized. So it shows you carbohydrates, fat, protein, which are great. Those are your macronutrients. I definitely suggest leaving those three up. But then sodium and sugar are a little bit more personalized. Really, I don't care about my sodium intake. I'm not a heavy sweater. I don't have cardiovascular issues, so I don't really need to watch my sodium one way or another at this point, but you might. Another thing is sugar. I really don't like seeing sugar up because MyFitnessPal does not break it down between natural sugars and added sugars. So it's always going to appear higher than you really need to worry about. But if you're someone who's eating a lot of snack foods or is looking to lose weight, it might be beneficial to leave sugar up. I'm going to look at iron because that's a key nutrient for me personally, and fiber. I really do suggest that most of you put fiber up there because that's going to help ensure that you're getting enough, especially of those roughage produce style foods that we need to be eating a lot of for general health. And then down here, your meal names. So it's giving you breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, which is fine. That's your basic. And if that's all you want to worry about just to get the hang of things, that's fine. As we go along, I'm definitely going to show you why it could be very important to fine-tune these meal categories a little bit more based on your eating, especially when it comes to sports performance. So I'll go ahead and keep breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for now. I'm going to add one extra category, and it's going to be workout. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit save changes. Okay, changes were updated, awesome, and back to the food tab. And now you can start adding your foods. So for breakfast, go ahead and add what you consumed for breakfast. And you can see it bringing up a list of foods. These are a list of foods that I have inputted before. So it kind of keeps track of what your typical breakfast foods are. So I can just hit, let's see, an English muffin, some espresso, whole milk, avocado, piece of uncured bacon on my avocado English muffin. Where is an egg? We've got an egg over here. And then also definitely had some maple syrup in my latte. So it can be that easy to just input your breakfast. Just make sure you're going over to these categories over here and making sure that you update the serving size based on what you ate. So today I didn't have a full English muffin, I had half, so I can update that. And then you can also change the metrics over here about how you're measuring your food. So I'm just gonna select add, and then you can see over here I've got my breakfast in. And then it brings up your calories for breakfast, your macronutrients, and then for me, I selected fiber and iron. So then we can go ahead and do this for lunch as well. Now for lunch, let's try searching for a food. I had grapes as part of my lunch. So I'm just gonna put that in, hit search. And this is one area where you have to be a little bit diligent in MyFitnessPal because it is based on user input. So anybody can go in and say, okay, I ate grapes, here's the nutrition for those grapes. Or it comes in very handy when it's a specific product. So if you are using a supplement or you have a specific type of cereal, you know, or a brand of soup that you always eat, you can put in the information so it's there and ready for you, which is great. But what if you accidentally put in 1,000 calories instead of 100 for a serving of soup? So there is some error. So I just want you to make sure that you're actually looking and not just mindlessly selecting, oh, grapes, and click, but actually look and make sure it seems right to you. So 1 cup of grapes, 61 calories. Okay, that seems pretty basic. I'm gonna add that food to my lunch. And you can see it shows up there on my lunch intake. So I'm gonna go back to breakfast and I'm gonna add something that I didn't, just to show you an example. So I like Vital Proteins Collagen. So I'm gonna search for that. I like to add this in my coffee. So you can see here, there's a whole bunch of different inputs for pretty much the same thing. So in a case like this, because the first time I put it in, I definitely didn't put the right version in, you wanna make sure that you look at your label and then come back up here and pick the one that makes sense to what you're putting in. So 1 serving, about 70 calories, add to breakfast, and then double check it. So this is not the right one that I use because my serving size for 1 scoop only has 9 grams of protein. So if you see something that's wrong or you just made an error, you can go over and click the little red tab and it's going to delete it. So just a little bit about being diligent, because the more accurate you are, the better you're going to be able to evaluate what you're doing. So the more errors that show up, the less result-driven your intake is going to get you. Okay? So pretty much you're just gonna go throughout this day and do the same thing. So let's try another food for lunch, go back to the database, and I'm going to put brown rice. Okay. And brown rice, there's tons of different varieties of brown rice. Basically, you know, they're all roughly the same, so as long as you're picking just the normal brown rice and not like fried rice, not Panda Express, not flour, we're just looking for brown rice here. It's not going to matter too much if you choose long grain versus short grain or something like that. Okay. and then just add it. And there I had grapes and rice for lunch, and then you just go on throughout your day. So this is really good. You can have the app on your phone or on your computer to pull up throughout the day if you can. And I definitely suggest you add things as you go, because the longer you wait, you know, if you're trying to input things from yesterday, which you can. So up here at the top, it's showing you that this is today. You just go to this the arrow, and now you see Wednesday. So I did not input anything from yesterday. So if I did, and I tried to go back and recall everything I ate yesterday, the more time between when I ate it and when I'm putting it in, the more chance for error there is, because we simply forget what we ate and how much we ate. So I'll probably be able to remember the main points of my food intake yesterday, but most likely I'm going to forget a tablespoon of something, a snack, a handful, and all of those things really do add up over time. So I definitely suggest, if you are planning to track your intake on specific days, that you go in throughout the day as you eat these foods and add them to your database. So back to today. Also down here, you can track your water. So hopefully we are all drinking lots of water. There's a quick ad. You can just press 2 cups, 4 cups, you know, that you're getting your intake in. And then any notes. I really suggest using the notes, because this is where you can say, you know, leave yourself helpful tips. Breakfast was great. I was full. Lunch lacked protein, because I only had grapes and brown rice right now. I was hungry. So things like that. Especially if you're tracking for a workout, you could put in bonked at mile 22, or drank all my water by 20 miles into the ride. So you can leave yourself little hints and clues like that to better assess what you're doing and how what you're eating is impacting your fueling, your results, and that kind of thing. So definitely take advantage of that notes section, because it really helps put all of this into context of how it helped your overall health, wellness, and performance. Okay. So up here you can also add your exercise. So you can go in and put running. So I ran 6 miles today at about a 7-minute per mile average. So I'm going to click on that one. It's gonna ask me how long. So I don't know what that was, like 42 minutes. And then over here it automatically puts your calorie level in. Most of us are using a tracking method like a Garmin watch plus your heart rate or a power meter. So you should have a more accurate number. For 6 miles, I did not burn that many calories. My watch was probably closer to like 450, okay? So try to input what your device is telling you instead of going off of their stock values, because they're probably going to be a little bit on the high end. And the more accurate you can be here, the better. And then you can just click that. You can put in any exercise notes there. And when you go back to your food, it's going to show you, it's going to update your calorie goal with the calories you burned. So it's saying that you have burned an extra 450 from exercise. So it kind of gives you that full picture, that full snapshot right here. So that's really the basics of how to put your food intake in. It's pretty simple. There's not much to it. Definitely recommend doing this once in a while, especially if you're struggling with meeting a result, you can really go through and see what's happening. Or you can give me your login and set up an appointment with me, and I'll go in and tell you what's happening and where the changes need to be made. But this is definitely a good evaluation tool. So for those of us who are already doing this and want to take it a step further, I'm going to show you how to be more proactive. So over here on the calendar, I showed you how you can go back to yesterday, but this is how you can go forward. So let's pick Saturday. So I'm going to start with adding exercise, and you have to go again, click Saturday for exercise. So if you know what you're doing and you know what your workout plan is, so if you're using a coach or you generally have an idea that you're going to go on a group ride or you're going to do whatever training on a specific day, this comes in really handy. So I'm going to be proactive and design my nutrition for a day in the future. So my goal is really to better fuel my cycling, my long rides, and not consume so much food afterwards, but put more food into the ride. So I am going on a 4-hour ride. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 4 hours in here at a decent pace. I don't know, they call that vigorous. Not really sure that counts as vigorous bike riding, but we're just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna add that, and it's showing me about 2,300 calories, which is about right. I've put my intake in here so many times that it kind of has it down to what I do. So we're gonna go back to the food for Saturday. And because I have my exercise already in here, my calorie goals for the day have reflected that. And I'm going to start with the workout. So for what we're doing here is basically about being proactive and ahead of time thinking through your nutrition and how it's going to fuel your activity instead of just going back and saying, this is what I did. Because once you've already done it, the damage is done. You can only use that past data to make better choices in the future. But this is how to actually implement those changes. So this is my workout, and I want to put more food into my workout. So let's do honey stinger. Waffle. I'm gonna bring 2 with me. I'm gonna plan to eat 2 waffles. And it doesn't really matter what flavor, the fact that it's gluten-free or not on here, they're all basically the same. So I'm gonna add that. Also going to add, let's see, banana. So I'm actually gonna choose this one because I know that I always buy small bananas. So I'm gonna add that one. So you can see we're just going through and adding in foods that I'm going to consume throughout that training. And this is where if you're unsure of what foods you should be taking in during this training, you should really come talk to me. So for 4 hours, the goal is to take in about 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour. Okay. So you can see here that for carbohydrates, I'm at about 65 right now. So that's about 1 to 2 hours worth of fuel. So I will definitely want to double that for my intake for this ride. So by starting with your workout, you can really get to see how many carbohydrates you're putting into your performance and try to make sure that you execute that during your ride. So I'm also going to add a sports beverage and usually take a sandwich or another bar with me because this is an endurance ride. And it's really going to depend on your goals of the workout. But again, mine are to put more calories and more fuel. So the recommendations for carbohydrates are 30 to 60 grams for this type of workout. I'm going to aim for the high end. I want to make sure that I'm putting as much food and nutrition into this ride as my body can handle. So I'm going to really aim for that 60 grams per hour on this performance. Then once you have your whole workout, your planned food inputted in here, you can go through and put in the rest of your day. So what are you going to eat before the workout? So I always have breakfast. Probably going to have some oats, almond milk, a little almond butter, my typical latte, add all that in. So now you can see how the rest of your day can be structured around your workout, and it's going to reflect in your daily totals. But I definitely suggest putting your workout in first because that's the key point. That's what we're trying to get the most performance out of. And then structure the pre-workout, the post-workout recovery food, and you can add that as your lunch, your snack, however you want to do it. You know, you can always use the notes down here to be more specific and say, my snack was my recovery, I had it within 30 minutes, that type of thing. So definitely first your workout, second your pre-workout, third your recovery food, and then see how you're doing totals wise and what you have left to add in for a lunch and a dinner. Because it's really going to help you see how much food you want to put into your workout before, during, and after, instead of under-fueling your ride. So let's say that I only had a banana and one waffle for a 4-hour ride, and that's probably going to leave me extremely depleted. And later that night, I'm probably going to eat a whole pizza. So by being proactive about it, you can design your whole day around your workout and really see how that adds up and execute it as closely as you can once this day comes. So I'm going to fill out this whole thing, and once Saturday comes, I'm going to be able to look at this and say, okay, this is what I need to have before my workout. This is what I'm bringing with me during my ride. I'm going to bring my recovery food with me. And by putting it down in advance, you can go shopping for it. You can prepare it in advance. You're going to feel very prepared, very confident that you're doing the right thing for your body on that given day. So the more you can get in the habit of proactively creating your nutrition plan, the better and the faster you're going to see results. And this is definitely something that takes time. It takes skill. This is what I will do for you. If you come and want a consult with me and you're looking for your performance or weight loss or whatever your goal is, I will evaluate your past habits and create a future plan for you to stick to. But you can definitely try the practice and start doing it on your own. Definitely recommend it. And then when I get to Saturday, see how this plays out. See how you do in actually sticking with your planned intake. Did your ride get cut short an hour? How is that going to affect the rest of your day? Did you forget something and end up stopping at a gas station and buying something else on the ride? Did you feel great? Did you bonk? Did you plan to have a stir fry for dinner, but then all your vegetables had gone bad in your fridge and you went out for food? How closely can you stick by this, and what will the difference be? So definitely go back on Saturday then, and I will update this as far as what I actually ate, and see how close I got and how I felt overall. Okay, so that is the basics of the MyFitnessPal and how to track your food intake. There are also, so that's the basics. There are definitely a few extras that you can do with MyFitnessPal. So I already showed you one tip about how to separate out your meals here and add in the workout. Otherwise, if you don't add in the workout, you're only going to see breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's not going to give you a very good picture of how you're actually fueling your performance. Another thing to do with that, so over here on Saturday when I have my food intake in, I definitely suggest adding a note over here and putting in how that actually played out. So maybe pace was very high, didn't grab food for 1.5 hours. Or you can be more specific and say 1 honey stinger every 30-minute, banana at halfway. So that really gives you a better picture and of how you executed your performance fueling. And then you can compare that to how you felt throughout the ride. You know, after the ride, did you feel great? During it, did you have enough energy? You know, that's going to, information like this is going to be much more helpful than just saying, this is what I ate during 4 hours. You know, timing is everything when it comes to the performance nutrition, so be as specific as you can. You can even get rid of snacks and add this as a pre-workout or a recovery. But it's definitely a limitation of MyFitnessPal that you can only separate into so many categories. You can't separate by time and really be as detailed as I would like to see a diet log, but you can still do a lot considering the notes. Just be as specific as you can, because the more accurate you can be, the better you can really target those opportunities for improvement and really see results. Okay, so another thing you can do is create meals. And this makes things easier in the long term. So if you are doing this frequently, instead of choosing each food individually, you can create a meal. So once you add things in for the first time, you can click this button saying a quick tool and say remember meal. So I'm going to put in to remember my morning coffee, because I always, every morning, pretty much have the same latte style beverage with a few extras put in. So I'm just going to show you an example of how to do that. So maple syrup, whole milk, espresso, vital collagen powder. I'm going to say, remember this meal. And this is going to be latte AM, because if I have a PM latte, it's definitely different. So save that. And then if I go to tomorrow and I want to add a food, I can go over here to the My Meals tab and I can just add this instead of selecting each thing. So if you bring a typical sandwich or eat the same cereal, banana, you know, whatever, yogurt bowl, whatever your meal is, and you're eating the same thing day to day, you can just make that meal up and add the full meal instead of selecting each thing. Personally, I don't like to do that because it's very rare that the rest of my meals look the same. So I'm not typically eating the exact same amount of rice or kale or salmon, you know, each meal. So if I group it into a meal, you can't really play with the portion size as much as you can by just including the individual foods. But for some things like a latte, or if you make the same recovery smoothie all the time, or the exact same sandwich day to day, it can be a time saver to just create a meal from it. There's also ways you can input recipes. So if you have a favorite recipe you like to make, you can input the information in here so that it's set and ready to go, and it's stored for you. So those are the basics. There's definitely a lot more you can do with this as far as customizing your goals for, if you wanted to lose weight or you had a specific balance of macronutrients you were looking to hit. This, I think, usually does it like for 50% carbohydrate, 20% protein, and 30% fat. So if you were looking for a different structure, you can go into your settings, you can change your profile, you can see different reports of how things break down. You can, look at your weight, you can look at calories. Of course, this isn't a full picture because I'm not logging every day and I only have partial logs that I just showed you guys. But you can definitely see some different things. Vitamin A, fat, sugar, fiber, and see where you're coming in for specific nutrients. So your exercise, there's apps, there's a whole community, there's a lot more that you can do with this. But just for putting in your food intake, those are the basics. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you guys learned something and can try to log your intake, go in today and try to log what you've eaten and see how your results are coming out. Or if you're already a frequent food documenter, try picking a day in the future that's like a key workout or, just to give it a try on any old day, and create a nutrition plan and try to stick with it, because that's really the gold standard of what you're trying to achieve, is not just go back in time, but to really be proactive with your nutrition. So if there are any questions, any comments, any tips that you have, if you are a MyFitnessPal user or a frequent food journaler, please leave them in the comments. We can always do a follow-up video in the future. But leave your comments, your questions, and I will try to get back to them as quickly as I can. Thanks, guys.